really proud of our guys. I think that team is probably, I don't know, as physical a team as we played maybe in conference. They were tonight for sure. And we know that they were down a man with the big fella. But I don't want to discredit our guys' effort. You know, they've been doing it for a while now, just the buy-in on the defensive end. And it wasn't pretty. You know, we lost some shooters a few times. We turned it over, got a little tentative during their run, but our guys, under that last 4-minute media timeout, they just drew a line in the sand and said we're not giving it up, and made stops on the defensive end and free throws on the other end to close it out. So very, very proud of our guys.
Yeah, what happened in that last 4-minute media timeout? Did you guys say anything in particular? Or?
Yeah, I just, you know, we talked about it wasn't pretty. You know, we had turnovers, we got tentative, we didn't get the shooters. But what's that? We came too far to give it up. Let's clean all that up, like we do at home. The last 4 minutes, we don't lose the last 4 minutes at home. And the guys bought into it, made the plays, they believed. You know, and we made some big free throws, obviously, which our guys have done all year.
Coach, I know you guys like to play late in the shot clock most of the time, but like you said, you got a little tentative. Why do you think that was? I mean, you guys had, I think, 11, 12.
Well, more in the first half. You know, we ended up settling for threes at the end. You can still attack, but we have to play that tempo. I mean, we played, what did we play, 7 guys tonight, basically. So we've got to slow it down. We've got to use clock to keep them from playing their tempo. But that doesn't mean to get passive in the last 8 seconds. And I thought at times we did. It's a good question.
Malcolm, how well do you feel like your team played its tempo the way you guys want to?
Yeah, I think we really slowed it down, you know, because we picked and choose our spots of when we're going to push the ball and when we're going to bring it down and run our sets. So I think we did a good job of that. And then I think we just stuck together through thick and thin, you know. We had their runs, and we didn't let that overcome us, and we just knew we all knew we were gonna win this game. We all just bought in and stuck to the game plan.
Olaf hit that three. I can't remember exactly when, but the crowd really got into it at that point. Do you guys feed off that? Are you aware of that? Do you even hear it at that point? What's going on in the arena?
I don't know. It kind of just zones out, you know. I'm just so focused in the game. It's just, I know it rattles the other team, but for us, it's just like a noise that I just love to hear. So I just zone it out.
Gary, you were slow to get up a couple of times. You all right?
Yeah. Got a little stinger.
I think you had 15 in the first half, Gary. What allowed you to get off to that fast start?
It's just easy buckets, hands in the passing lane. I got a couple tips, got a couple of breakouts, and easy buckets. And that's what coach has been telling us. You know, we can keep our hands up, we get easy buckets, and slow them down. So that's what it was in the first half, and I got a couple steals.
Gary, what really got you guys through those last 3 or 4 minutes after they closed that gap as close as they did?
It was just like Coach said, you know, we didn't find the shooters in their run. They got like 2 back-to-back threes, I believe. So he just said, find the shooters. You know, we was pointing, talking, and we locked down the shooters, made it difficult for them. And we just all went down for the rebound and got rebounded and closed it out.
11 straight wins at home. What does that mean for you guys?
It means we got a big one next time out. Most important one, the one that we got next. But it's neat that our guys, and we talked about this the other day, that they've been able to develop this deal at home where we're going to defend it through thick and thin, and someone's going to have to really come in and put it to us to sneak one out of us here at Gill, and that's great. And then the fine line is we can't just now skip through tomorrow and think we can show up Saturday afternoon and it's going to happen again. We've got to stay focused and on page. The reason is because of the energy, the focus, the selflessness that these guys play with here, and then the fans jump on board. You know, they love the way our guys are laying it on the line, and I think that's been the formula or the recipe, whatever you want to call it.
Did you have any special plan for Alfred tonight, or just Gary's defense?
We just, you know, man or zone, we know that he favors going right, so that was, you know, Coach Gottlieb, our assistant coaches all do such a great job with their scouting reports and then the way they deliver it to the team, but it was to try to force him away from his strong hand. And then in zone, you know, a lot of people think teams have good shooters, you can't play zone. Well, in zone, you don't just play zone because you don't think they can shoot. You can guard shooters and get to shooters in zone. And you know, they might throw a couple in like they did, but I think these guys pressure on him. And then I think how we went at him on the other end, maybe wore on him a little bit. But boy, he's a tough kid. Man, he made some big plays to get them back in the game, and that's what we told them in all the timeouts. Too good a coach, too tough a team. They're going to try to keep coming at us, but we got to hold our ground. And then ultimately, our guys did to finish it off.
The more games you guys win, the more of a national storyline you'll become. How are you guys going to try to maybe shield that buzz?
I think we showed it already. We don't really worry about it. We know the expectation coming in from everybody, so we just put that behind us and just listen to Big Fella here and get the job done.
And Gary's at the same feel also, just about having the best record in 20-some years or the best start. Is that just another number at this point and not something this team is dwelling on at all?
No, none of that it talks about in the locker room. We just worry about our opponents and ourselves. Like Coach said, we don't worry about nobody but ourselves to get better. So none of that is no talk in the locker room.
The neat thing is, the exposure is great for the university and for the program, and these guys deserve it, damn it. They're working their tails off. They're buying in and believing what we've been able to do, with what we've got. But, that's all behind us. We've got to stay in the moment and try to continue to build, because we know there's still a long way to go and a lot of tough teams in front of us.
Malcolm, do you have more of those roundhouse layup things you did in the first half?
Yeah, I got more to come. I don't really explain it. Just got to make those plays whenever they come to me. So, yeah.
I think he had one too on the back
Yeah.
of the play. Yeah, both of them.
Coach, I don't know the number, but the free throw shooting down the stretch seemed right where it needed to be when they made their run. How happy were you with that?
Yeah, that's great, and we've gotten to the point where we've been shooting a good percentage as a team, and then in the last few minutes, really good. I'm really glad the guys stepped in and made those, because it just moving forward continues to build our confidence that teams aren't going to be able to get back in by playing the foul game with us. So kudos to the guys for continuing to finish.
Can you guys talk about the turnovers? It seemed to spark both the UCLA runs and your runs.
I guess, I don't know, you guys want to talk about turnovers, because I'm kind of tired of it, but we just got careless. We got careless in the first half. We didn't meet passes, and we write it on the board. You got to snap passes and meet passes. And we got just a little soft, and they were aggressive, beat us to the ball, deflections, took it out of our hands a few times. And then I think late during their run, we passed up open shots. I know Jarmal once and Langston once being unselfish. And we talked about, let's get great shots instead of good ones. Well, we had pretty good ones. We've got to take those. But, we'll take some of those mistakes through selflessness and build off of it for sure. But we're not a team that turns it over that much, and we've got to make sure we correct that moving forward.
Coach, you got one day that's before the Trojans come in here. Do you know anything about them yet? You can watch that.
We were totally, at least I was. Our assistant coaches have been working on that, but we were totally in on UCLA. But I have watched some film, because there's some, obviously they played some teams that we've played already. And I know that they've got a couple big guys that work really hard inside. The point guard's back and playing. The young kid can really play, McLaughlin. They got some athletic wings. And I know the tempo that they like to play, so that's going to be the challenge for us, is to come back on Saturday, dictate the tempo. But we'll get after it tonight when we get home, all day tomorrow, and then we'll have a good game plan in place for Saturday.
One more question?
Wayne, Malcolm had a pretty good second half and ended up with a pretty good line across the board. You just talk about what you got out of him tonight.
I thought he gave us really good maturity and leadership, along with Gary, in the second half. We had another one of our guys didn't have a great first half, and we challenged him at halftime to step up in the second, like he did in Pullman, and he certainly did. Talking about Langston, hit some big threes and big free throws, but just their leadership, and it's new to this guy. He's learning how to lead and how to keep his chin up and be a positive influence on his teammates. Sometimes he gets down on himself when he makes a mistake, and we've got to get him to continue that positive attitude, because it spreads. And Gary's always the one telling me to calm down, let's move on, gets him in the doghouse a little bit. But the neat thing is we can challenge these guys now. Early on, they didn't know how to react to it. Now they understand that the old gray-haired guy gets a little goofy from time to time, and what it's done is it's brought them together, and that's probably the single most important thing we've done with this group from start to finish, and love the way that he's stepped it up here for us. as our leader, one of our leaders.